good. We're going.
We're good?
We're good.
All right. Welcome to the Cookies and Coffee Podcast. My name is Kale Owen with
Maggie Owen.
Maggie Owen, my beautiful wife. We are here today. I am the CEO of Gym Launch and Prestige Labs, and I have the amazing honor to work with my wife as well.
And I'm the VP of Operations for Gym Launch and Prestige Labs.
Those are two 8-figure companies that we both manage and run, and we have had the pleasure of working together both in the gym that we used to own as well as within Gym Launch for a total of it's 6 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the purpose of this podcast really is we sat down and we thought we would like to almost use this as memoirs for ourselves, so we can go back and we can listen to the things that we are accomplishing in our life and look back at lessons that we've learned. And hopefully this is a chance for you to learn some of the lessons that we have learned across time and allow us to really just share our life with you as basically a high-performing couple. We've been married for 9 years. We have 2 incredible kids. We live in sunny North Florida, and we've been able to and been very blessed to build a life that we absolutely love. And we work with incredible people and have been blessed to learn from some incredible people as well. And so what we want to do is really share some of the secrets to being able to have an incredible life, both in marriage and business, and just some lessons that we've learned along the way. So we hope and we hope that this time that you're listening to this is valuable for you, because we never want to take it for granted. And the greatest thing that you could give to anyone is your attention, and we will not take it for granted. So today's topic is very interesting. It is how to cheat your way to an incredible marriage and the application of that as well as into business too. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. What do you want to talk
about?
Cheat
codes. So there's a secret thing that we have. I can't cross my legs, but the secret thing that we have is that really kind of kicked off the next level of our marriage as well as in business is what we call cheat codes.
Yep.
So when did we start doing the cheat codes?
Probably 5 years ago. About 5 years ago.
Okay.
When we started with Gym Launch.
Yeah. So it was Gym Launch, and this is shout out to Alex and Layla Hormozi, because they did a call with us as clients, and I remember they kind of broke down how they work inside their relationship.
Yep.
And if y'all are not watching their content or listening to their stuff, you definitely should be, without a doubt. Massively, missing out. They're
Change
huge.
Your life.
Yeah, friends, mentors, we love them. They're incredible. So they did a call with a bunch of clients talking about how they manage their work-life relationship, and we took from them kind of this topic or this concept of cheat codes.
Yep. And
in a nutshell, what is it?
Yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, it's what are the things that, you and I need from one another to feel loved on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, from one another. And it's super selfish. It's like literally, what do I need to feel loved by you, even if it's not what makes you feel loved. And so it's kind of just at our deepest level, like what do we need from one another?
Yeah.
And it's some of them are pretty selfish too.
Like what? What did you think was selfish for me when I wrote down cheat codes for you? Like what I needed from you?
So the first thing I think that I can remember you asking for me was that you needed me up and out of bed by 7 a.m. Which at this time, I was not sleeping until 9, but I would probably get up around 7:30, 7:45, so we could be out the door by 8. I waited till the absolute last minute to kind of get going. And you came to me and said, I need you to be up before 7 a.m., which was a pretty big shock to me.
You do love your sleep.
I do love my sleep.
I know.
I could sleep 12 hours a day
Yes.
and be happy.
Yeah, and be stoked. But I thought it was interesting because the reason I asked for that was because I knew that the days that you did wake up, you showed up better for the kids, for yourself, and you ended up every day that you woke up earlier, you were like, man, I don't know why I don't do this more. I feel like I get more done in the day. And I was like, you're just like a happier Maggie when you wake up earlier. But I thought it was really interesting. I think it's important for you to share this, is why you tended to sleep in.
Yeah.
And this was not communicated to me.
Right.
And vice versa either. So
yeah.
I thought writing these cheat codes down drew this out of both of us, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah. Sitting down thinking what do I need to show up as the best wife, and what do you need to show up as the best husband, and just taking time to think through that. But when we first did it, and to hear you say I need you to get up before 7 a.m., and I was super shook of well, who are you to tell me to get up before 7 a.m.? It's my life. Why do I have to wake up on your timeline? And then when you kind of explained to me, well, it's because you're a better version of you. You're a better mom and a better leader and a better wife when you do that. It was kind of a gut punch to me, right? Oh, wow. I am better when I do that, and I've been not showing up my best for my family and for myself because I decide I want to like sleep until the last minute. So I think that was like the first thing, but then the second thing is like kind of thinking through like, well, why do I wait till the last minute? Because I am happier when I get up early. I do feel like I get more done in a day. But for me, I purposely would try to sleep till the last minute because I knew if I got up and started breakfast for the kids, made their lunches, and like I prepared them for the day, that you would check out and like think that you could work for an extra 45 minutes in the morning versus like spending time with us and the family. So I would subconsciously like, I'm just going to sleep until the last minute so I don't have to be responsible for all of the extra work that's going to fall on me by me waking up earlier in the day.
Which, when you told me that, was also a gut punch to me because I realized I definitely did that. Right. And so, but it was cool because that allowed us to really clarify what our expectations of each other were.
Yeah.
So, basically, what we did was we made a list. I mean, how many things were on your list originally? I think it was like 6.
Oh, a lot. Yeah, I'd probably say 5 or 6.
5 or 6 things, and then I think I had 5 or 6 things as well.
Yeah. Well, I think like in some of them we kind of went with like the main one, which like that was the main one for you at the time was for me to wake up before 7. But then like a couple of other ones kind of happened from there, which was, okay, well in the morning, we are not going to be on our phones in the morning between 7 and 8 while we're getting the kids ready for school. We're going to spend family time together. So then that kind of became like our mutual cheat code to one another is like, great, we will get up early and be up together, but neither one of us will work. It'll be our intentional family time together.
What were your thoughts originally, because I never actually asked you this, what were your thoughts originally when we sat down to actually do it? Like write the cheat codes? Were you like scared? Was it like a vulnerability thing at any point? Or were you like, no, we're going to do this and had full confidence in it?
I think the latter. Like I don't think I was ever, I've always trusted you. So I've never thought like, oh, I'm not, I think things have come up through conversation since then. So it was like a good exercise, but I was super excited to go all in on it.
Yeah.
But that's my personality too. I'm like a very in the moment, let's just do it type person. Were you?
No, I was ready to go. I had there was no hesitation. I was like, this is going to be great. Because you know me, like I like to communicate. Like if there's a problem, it's like, let's just knock it out now.
Fix it,
let's fix it. Let's move on. Let's do it. So for us, like the cheat codes, I mean, the biggest thing for us, I mean, I think this might be helpful for people listening to this. The biggest thing with the cheat codes is that it's a no holds barred, like open discussion of like the rawest things that you need. And so that means there's nothing that's off the table. Meaning, like one of my cheat codes is you can't go 72 hours without sex.
Yeah, like, I think when you originally made this, it was 24 hours, which is like a little aggressive.
Hilarious. But like we've kind of stretched it out to like 72 hours now. So, which is way more realistic, I feel like. So
I think it just depends. You know, it's a season of life you're in too. Yeah. You know, like as we've grown in our positions and our roles, and we've added an extra person to our family. Like we have 2 kids now, and as they get older and play sports, so it's like, I think that's another important thing too with like cheat codes is knowing that they can fluctuate depending on the season of life you're in. So like some of our cheat codes have stayed the same over the course of our relationship or since we've done this, and a lot of them have changed and evolved since then because we have different seasons of life that we're in, different stages of growth and things that we're focusing on.
Yeah. I thought that was cool though because I think the biggest revelation for me or like light bulb moment was when you told me about like your cheat code. It was so simple and stupid, was taking out the trash. But I thought it was really fascinating because at that moment there was this incredible clarity around why the concept of cheat codes and why they were so important. Because what it did was, I think the biggest mistake that I think we did in our first year of marriage or 1 to 2 years, as well as I see in most marriages that are having problems, is the unspoken word.
Yeah.
And the unspoken expectation or unspoken word that either the husband or the wife or both feel that the other person should know, but it's never said.
Yeah.
And so it would leave us kind of thinking that we have to read each other's minds, which no one can read minds.
Yeah.
So it ultimately sets everyone up for failure. And then it creates resentment and stress and anger and all of the wrong things. And then depending on who we are, like I'm not that type of person where I'm just going to let things ride. But for a passive aggressive person, it like can build up. And so for me, the light bulb moment was, wow, it's as simple as just telling me, this is why we call it cheat codes, right? It's like, if you just tell me what it is, wait, you're saying that's all I need to do and you're happy? Like, this is it? Like, this is great. Like, if I would have known this before, you're never going to touch the trash again. Like, if that's easy, like,
Yeah.
cool. As my son would say, oh, that's easy.
Well, I think there's a couple things that, too. It's like, one, knowing that when you set these cheat codes, a lot of times we love our spouse or significant other in our love language.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, let's say my love language is quality time together. So it is, yes.
Let's rephrase that. Your love language is quantity time, not just quality time.
All of the time. And gifts. Buy me gifts and spend all your time with me, and I'll be the happiest person in the world.
The tacos count as gifts sometimes?
Right, but for you, or for somebody, if it's like, let's say it's acts of service, right? And so you think that just by buying your significant other flowers all the time, you're meeting their love language. But if they could care less about flowers, it's like, yeah, it might be nice if you buy me flowers, but really what I need you to do is spend more time with me, more quality time with me, or I need you to help take out the trash or do these things. But to them, if they don't know that you don't care about getting flowers, you actually care more about something else that you want them to do, your significant other, your spouse isn't going to know what you want. So it's so important to communicate that, because otherwise we have no idea.
Yeah. It's just setting expectations.
Yeah.
Correctly. It's just managing setting expectations. And it's interesting because as soon as we kind of opened that door and stepped into that role, into that identity as a couple, as individuals, that we would clearly communicate what our needs and our wants were and our desires, I feel like that basically opened up a whole new world for us, both personally and in business. Because we kind of took those same traits, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And we started seeing massive changes in our lives and success, no matter what, like across both personally, like we got in the best shape of our lives. We made the most amount of money. We saw the most professional success, and we started making moves in life once we did that. It kind of was the opening to everything, because then you and I were moving in the same direction on everything.
Yep.
Not that we weren't really before, but there were always kind of like, I feel like looking back now, knowing what we have today, there were kind of, I don't know about miscommunications, or there were situations where we weren't communicating clearly on everything, and it would slow us down. We didn't have the speed that we do today.
I think it's like we each had our own expectations in our head.
Yeah.
And we would just keep it in our head and work towards those goals on our own, together in a marriage, but kind of separately.
Yeah.
Versus let's laying it all on the table and be unified in wherever we're going after.
Yep.
And how we're going to get there and what we need from one another to get there.
Yeah. I like it. And then one of the things, and so I guess we can give insight into this. This will be for us later on down the road too, but for anyone listening to this, what we did was when we first started, we sat down, we wrote them out separately, and then we came together and met, and we reviewed them. And that's when I still remember your face when I said the 7. You were just like, it was hilarious. And then we would review them every quarter, and we still kind of do as well, but now we've gotten to the point where we kind of know what they are, and if there's something new, we'll just address it immediately. But for basically every quarter for, I would say, about 18 months to 2 years, we would just sit down and we would review, has this changed, has this adapted, like the 24 hours to 72 hour rule, that's adapted over time. Not that the desire has dropped, but reality and realistic expectations has become more apparent. So I guess, like, for anyone that's listening to this, we cannot, or I know myself, and I won't speak for you, but I think you would say the same thing, that probably the most important piece, because everyone talks about communication in a marriage and why it's the most important thing, but no one ever actually clarifies what communication is and how to do it. Yeah, and the simplest way is to just cut all the BS out of it. Literally write it down. Don't just say it. Write it down, and then hand the piece of paper over to your partner so they can read the words that you have on there. These are the desires. This is what I want. This is it. There's no holds barred. Yep. And there may be times for some people, because I think we might be an outlier, but there may be times when there has to be compromise on some of those things, where maybe something is a little excessive, where it's like, what if I'd asked you to wake up at 4 a.m. every morning? You'd be like, that's not going to happen. It's just, can we find some compromise there? But at the end of the day, you do get to see truly what your partner needs and wants, and then there's so much more clarity around it.
I think something too to add to, as you do on a quarterly basis, of like, do these still line up? Are these still the things that you need me to focus on? Is there anything new to add, anything to take off? Is looking at like, what does the next season of life look like? Like, what do the next 3 months look like? Does your significant other have a lot of travel coming up? Do we have, are your kids starting sports? Is there a new start of a new school year? Like, what life events are coming up in this quarter that you're going to need to show up for, need your spouse to show up for you with, right? Because I think there's been times when we've adjusted based off of things that we have coming up.
Yep, without a doubt.
In the future. And so I think it's important to not just be like, okay, here's what I need, but like for us as individuals to think, okay, well, what support and what love do I need as I move into this next season of life in this next quarter?
Yeah, that's what I'm so thankful for you about, because you're the planner and I'm just kind of like, just tell me when to show up and what to do, just let me know. So that definitely is helpful though.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good thing, I think, to mention too, is kind of like, you know, one of our Chicos that we have, because I am the planner of the family, which usually dynamics, like one person is the planner and one person is not the planner in there typically. But like I plan everything. And so I wanted you to plan one date night a month, not every day night, just one a month, where you planned everything from the babysitter to where we went. And like, I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted you to tell me Friday at 5:30, we're going on date night. And all I had to do was show up. And that was super important to me because I wanted one thing that I didn't have to think about for that week.
I have not fulfilled on that one. I will say that.
Well, interesting, because it's like not that important to me anymore.
Yeah, it is interesting.
We have date night every week and we'll figure it out when we go, but the planning piece isn't as important to me anymore.
Yeah.
So that's something that's come off the table as we've evolved.
Yep. What's been something that's been added to it that you think has been big?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't added a whole lot.
I know.
I feel like I take a lot away.
I feel like our list has gotten actually smaller.
Yeah. Which is interesting. We were talking about that recently, how like over time, as we've visited it, revisited it, we've had less things to add and less things, not even really to take off, but they just become natural as how we love each other, because it's repetitive and we do it every single day and we focus on it and have been so intentional about it that it just becomes a part of how our relationship is and how I love you and how you love me.
Yep.
It becomes second nature now. Like, we don't even have to think about it.
And if something does come up, we like talk about it right away.
Yeah.
It becomes like an instant, like literally an instant thing where it's like, I know if it's something that bothers you, I know you're going to tell me within
right away
5 to 10 minutes of it actually happening.
Right.
So you might have your
as you're speaking.
Yeah. You might. No. How about no? So I love it. All right. So what would be your advice if someone's listening to this and they want to implement this in their life? Which, by the way, you and I both have seen this in multiple different couples that have implemented this and the success that they've had in their marriages. Like, I know Chad did this, crushed it with him and his wife. We got a couple other people that I know, I'm not going to name, but that have successfully implemented this and used this. I know we just did this with the 5 clients that we had, the couples, and did our IC Live talking about that.
Yeah, I think you want to look at it from, because I think we've seen it the opposite way too, where people want to implement it, or one spouse wants to implement it and the other one doesn't, which I think you have to come at it from an angle of, how can I love this person better? And if these are the 5 things that they need or 3 things that they need for me so I can love them better, then that's what I'm going to do, even if I don't get anything else in return.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think always just like coming at it from like a non-selfish way and knowing like, what can I do every day to love you more? Like, what can I do every day to love my spouse more? I don't even remember where I heard it from recently, but it was like, it's not a competition, but it is a competition. Like, I'm going to win at loving you better today.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, what would I do if I was trying to win a competition at loving you better every single day?
Yeah. And it is interesting because I have an example of when one spouse doesn't want to do it, because that's actually with Chad.
Yeah.
And I remember having this conversation. We spoke for like an hour on it, and he was like, you know, I broached the subject with my wife, but she has 0 interest in wanting to do it. It makes her feel uncomfortable and not something that she really wants to do. And I was like, that's not a problem. I was like, what you should do is go to her and ask for her list, simply so that you can serve her. Don't give her your list. Simply ask, what are the 3 to 5 things that you need from me consistently? And then just prove to her that you are going to follow through and do those. And then your spouse is going to see you intentionally doing those things, and then trust is going to build even further. So then love is going to build as well. Respect is going to build. And then there's just a snowball effect that ultimately I know that she ended up coming around and being a part of that and asking the same thing from him. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, but you just...
I think that's an important thing to highlight, is like the trust piece, right? So it's like, if you're going to spend time to lay these things out, like, you better show up and do it. Because if not, you're going to lose trust in that relationship and think like you're taking away from the bucket instead of adding drops into the bucket.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, if this is what they need and they spend the time to communicate with that with you, then you better do everything you can to fulfill on those 2 needs, 3 needs, 5, however many needs it is, show up and do that for them. And same thing, like, you want them to show up to do that for you. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to lose trust.
Yeah, you have to go all in. Otherwise, it's not worth doing it.
Yeah.
So, cool.
So why do we have cookies here?
I don't know. We're not eating them. What are these cookies again?
Sweet Lorraine's cookies.
Sweet Lorraine's. Don't buy them, guys. Just don't. They're
like a
just get the
gluten-free,
Betty
healthy
Crocker,
alternative.
like, bag. We're gonna do that next. They're way better than this. Gluten-free. So, awesome. I think that's all I got.
That's all I got.
How to cheat your way to an incredible marriage and business. It does cross over into business as well, because that same type of communication we've had and we keep on the business side. And sometimes it's, for I think a lot of people, if they're going to work together, sometimes it's actually easier on the business side because there's a business piece.
Yeah.
And it's harder to go on the personal. But I think sometimes the lines get crossed where they bring both together, where it's like, if I say something to you about business, right? If we were not in a good place and a good amount of trust and we had not developed this skill set for a while, you would take it personally, or vice versa. Like, it's an attack on me as your husband, or it's an attack on you as my wife, right?
Yep.
When it's not. It's, you have to have clear roles and, like, be able to distinguish between, is this a business conversation or a personal conversation? But either way, the conversation still needs to be had.
Needs to happen, yep.
And communication still has to happen. And expectations still have to be created and met in order to have success. So.
And it's probably like a really good podcast. Another podcast.
We can do
You
that.
follow it up with.
Maybe that's what we'll do next.
Yeah.
Cool. That's it. Appreciate you guys listening. Hopefully this was valuable for you. Go cheat your way to success.